Hey guys,
I'm Hallee,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hey guys.
Hey guys!
What's up?
Welcome back!
I also realized that I'm completely stupid. You know how we thought the one episode was an hour and 45 minutes? Yes, I just accidentally put 20 minutes of the
Extra.
same thing repeated. But we have great platforms that let me edit after the fact, so it's already fixed. So if you didn't hear that happen, then don't worry about what I'm talking about.
They're gonna listen and
Yeah.
be like, what?
Okay, we knew we weren't that bad at math. I was like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, I was confused.
So, yep, it was actually an hour 25, which makes 9 times more sense.
Yay!
um, I get married a month from tomorrow.
Shut up.
Are you ready?
No.
I'm not either. So, makes two of us.
Welcome to the rest of your life.
That part's fine. I'm not that's oh my god. I also realize when I'm saying these things to you and I'm like I'm not ready, that maybe to people who don't know me this comes off as very not nice. You know what I'm saying? But it's not that. It's more of the day of the wedding. There's a lot of organizing to do. I love Ryan. I'm not concerned about that aspect at all. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm
Why do
like,
you
wow.
have red on today?
I also have red shoes.
You look like a
This is what I wore
folk
to work.
dancer.
I wore to work this with these shoes.
Wow.
Yeah, I try to look professional sometimes. So,
I was gonna say, it's different from your usual garb that I
well,
see you
usually
in.
my last two shirts have said "wine o'clock" and "bad bitch," and now I'm wearing a red ruffled shirt. And you had your Twilight shirt on last week, which was
I did. A move.
amazing.
It was great. Shout out to Marshalls.
Yeah, we both are kind of boring today, but that's because, well, this is not a boring episode by any means, but we're really excited to get to next week's episode, so that's kind of why. Maybe I'll wear a cool shirt next week. I do have a Griffin
What's
Antiquity sweatshirt,
Oh, okay.
but it's too fucking hot up in this room right
Yeah,
now.
it's warm out.
It is warm out. So yeah, guys, well, we're just gonna get started because honestly, this episode is gonna be mass
Chonky.
chaos. Not quite an hour 45 chonky because we knew that wasn't real. So okay,
Mass chaos. That was
mass
good.
chaos. So we are finishing up the second half of A House of Sky and Breath.
Good
Yep.
job.
Thank you. I did it. So this part is going to cover chapters 41 through 78, pages 437 through 801. Rest of the book. And what a rest of the book it is.
Disgusting, honestly.
It's amazing.
Like reading it again, I was like, wow, this is insane.
Yeah, but it starts out mad slow. So literally, it starts out and it's 2 weeks after the previous chapter, and it's enemies are all quiet right now, and everyone's like, I don't know what's going on. Quiet is not good, so something's going on. So it's all
The
quiet right
spidey
now,
senses are tingling.
right? And so Declan texts Bryce and Hunt, and he's like, "Hey, that footage I was looking into about Danica at Griffin Antiquities, I found something. She was being sketched." So they're like, "Cool." So now there's all kinds of wolfy shit going on. So Danica was looking at shit in the library, and we learn that she was looking at a wolf book, and it's all about wolf lineage in the library. And apparently in the recording, she taps and is like, "Oh, I found it," you know. So they were like, "Ooh, what is this?" And Declan's great, so he zooms super speed in, whatever, and they find out what she's looking up, and it is all about wolf lineage. So it's not making a lot of sense to them, but they're like, okay, well, she was hyped about it. And so on top of that, Bryce meets with the Prime, and she's like, hey, Danica was looking into this. What's the deal? And he's like, yeah, there was some people in our lineage that have been erased from history. And again, it goes back to that 15,000 years ago type of timeline. Now, on top of that, Ethan also goes to the Prime. The Prime's getting lots of action this part of the book. And he's like, hey, Ethan, do you want to be an alpha? Because my daughter's kind of a psycho. And Ethan's like, oh my goodness. Thank you for that. Like, he's like, I'll let you know.
Which
Which,
is, I, I don't know. I feel like that was such a stupid fucking plot line.
like, yeah, it just doesn't add anything to me.
No. Like, I just feel like it was unnecessary to make him an alpha
Well, so
or
I guess
offer
here's
him the position.
well, so I guess here's my next question. So now Ethan also goes back to the Mystic, um, because those like people in there not rubbing right with him, and he's also like, hey, like I kind of don't even know if Connor's okay. Like that whole situation we went through didn't really get a straight answer. So he goes back and he discovers that one of those Mystics, the female one, is also an alpha.
Dun, dun,
So how do you
dun.
feel about that one? Do you feel like that's also unnecessary?
Okay, yeah, but then,
More uncovers, then you feel better about it.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, initially reading it, I was like, yo, is everybody just gonna be a fucking alpha now? Like,
Right, right. Yeah, I do agree. So, yeah, we'll circle back to that when the next revelation comes about. And so Ethan's pissed, so he steals all the fire sprites. Like, all those rings the astronomer was wearing. Ethan's like, they're mine now. Which, granted, they're like his slaves and his property. Not that it's right or just, but that's very illegal to do.
and he stole 4 of them.
Yes. So Ethan stole the 4 rings. So that was all the wolf shit to
Take
start this
that.
part. Yeah. So much wolf shit. So that starts this part of the book.
Crazy. Yeah, so while this is happening, Therian, Rune, Bryce. Had to
I
think
literally
about that
was
for a
I
second.
was like, how's she gonna say it this time?
I literally have to think of the song in my head before I say it.
Rune Dannon.
Yeah.
That song
Um,
slaps, first of all.
yeah, they did a
Like
good
I
job with it.
sometimes when the trailer was published and I was like just catching up and having them like on our stories and stuff for the Instagram, I obviously like listened to it, but I kept listening to that one. And I was getting hyped. Like I was like, fuck yeah. Anyways, I digress. Ugh.
You distracted me. Yeah, so while this is all
Sorry.
happening with the wolf shit, Therian, Rune, Bryce, and Hunt, they all go to the Yidra. Is that
Yidra
how we
some? Yeah,
pronounce it? Yidra?
I would think so.
With Cormac. Our boy Cormy.
Aw. That's a
So
cute
they
name
go to
for him.
meet well, mm.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they go to meet with Pippa,
Pippa.
and we learn that Pippa knows where Emil is.
How do
And
you imagine Pippa in your head, just real quick?
like a snotty bitch. She reminds me of
Like physically.
like, do you remember Cadet Kelly
Mm.
with, was it Hillary Duff?
Oh, okay.
And it was like the mean girl.
I don't know if
That's
I
how like
remember
I
it.
imagine her.
So I imagine her like full out like Brienne of Tarth, like a big bitch. But like not in a bad way.
Really?
Yeah, but that's not how she's described. So I don't
I
know why
no.
I imagine her like that.
No, I don't imagine her like that at all.
I know I'm wrong.
And
I'm
there's
just
no fan
saying.
art for her either.
I mean,
I tried
yeah,
to
I
find it and I
need
couldn't find.
some. Yeah. Okay, that was just a digression because I know I'm wrong in how I'm imagining her, but that's it. It won't leave.
If anything, that's how I would imagine Sabine kind of looks
No,
like a
I ima-
big brawly woman.
no, I imagine Sabine like tiny and slender, but just like a total bitch, like a super short,
Really?
like blunt cut, and you're like, she's like the worst kind of Karen.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I also imagine Sabine as, I think we've talked about this in the past episode,
Like the aunt from
Teen Wolf.
yeah, that I'm more behind that
Yeah, but
because
I could
I
also
think
see her
because
as like,
Danica's so pretty, so I'm like, well, Sabine has to be like a slight, tiny woman,
yeah, I guess that's valid.
you know. But Pippa,
Okay.
also your name's Pippa, so I don't know. I'm like, she's just big.
Pippa, if anything, I would think is small.
It's kind of like an Avatar, like small fry, like he's a big
Oh.
person. Like I'm imagining it like that. Oh God. Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
Stop interrupting me.
I know. I'm sorry. I had so many things I wanted to talk
So
about.
yeah, Pippa knows where Emil is, and they also see the new mech suits, and
Mm.
things are getting spicy on the war front.
Yes.
So Pippa now heads the Valbaran front. So she's like, big cojones, like she's the big cheese. Okay.
Ew.
Um, and they also learn that these mech suits are powered by First Light.
Yeah, like they can like suck up first light from like the ground and just like had never
Yeah,
ending battery, bullets, like
which is like really bad news bears.
yeah, like you're fucked at that point.
Truly. Um. So, anyways, they're having this conversation and like yada yada yada, and then out of nowhere, Pippa's like cronies or whatever just come and kill the whole Veneer crew that
Yeah.
Bryce, Hunt, and Rune they all had taken with them to meet with Pippa. Just killed them all. For what?
Yeah, because I think they were like they were the ones who like, brought the mech suit, and she was like, "Well, we can't risk them like telling anyone."
Yeah, so she
Um,
just annihilates them all.
well, they're working
So
for you, so I
yeah,
think you're fine.
I mean, but obviously they retaliate, so they fucking blow up all
Yes,
the mech suits, and now Pippa's pissed.
but like at the same time, like okay, first of all, I'm not saying that she should have killed these people, but killing them in front of other veneers, like, did you think they weren't gonna be like upset by that?
Literally, like I get like the whatever, but like I
Maybe
don't.
wait, like you could have like if you're now you're the leader of the Valbar in front, like you don't think about these things. Like I don't know, I feel like I'm like that was a stupid war strategy.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, it's then it just turns into a whole big fucking
Yes. Well,
shit
now
show.
now shit is not good.
Yeah, because then they're all fighting, and Pippa shoots Cormac, so now Cormy's dead.
He's not. Cormy's fine. Well, he's shot. He's not like well.
Yeah, well, he
I'm
didn't actually die yet, but it's like
Cormy is like he's like a cat. He has like 9 lives.
it's like
Cormy just gets shot all the time.
wait, you know how we always make jokes about how like Sarah J. Maas like never kills off her characters, like that could have been a
Yep.
prime time to kill him, but she didn't.
I don't hate it as much because spoiler, he does die. So like,
Yeah,
cool, fine. You know,
yeah, I
I'm fine with
guess.
him living now because he eventually dies. Thank you, Sarah, for killing someone.
This is so fucked up. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
So whatever. Cormac is shot. And the Hind and like those fucking people come and
Well,
they're like
yeah, because
chasing them
now they're
down.
chasing Pippa because
Yeah.
and they were saying like they were already on the chase of like Pippa making this like trade meeting, but now when all them blew up all the mech suits, there's like mad smoke, and they're like, "You just showed them where we are,
Exactly.
like you
So
idiots."
yeah, and they're trying to find out who the rebels are. Well, now the Hind, whatever, appears with the Triari and they're like, "Oh, so it's you guys. Rune, Bryce, Hunt, like you guys are all rebels."
Right, because
Not
now they're
good.
caught red-handed, like, and they like had to like escape on a boat. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, like Baxian shows up and was like, "You gotta go now," and then fucking this giant, it's like a submarine, comes and like
Mm-hmm.
scoops him up.
But they're also confused at this point too because they're like, I guess like there was like the main boat with like the harpy, like everyone, like the Hind like left it on her own little boat. I guess I don't even know how. Like it's like a tiny boat, whatever.
Yeah.
And she like sees all of them, and they're like about to kill her, and they're like, I don't know. And then that's when like this big submarine, like the Omega boat, comes or whatever it is,
Hmm.
and saves them. And they're like, and then she like drives away, and they're like, oh, well now that she knows who we are, like we're essentially fucked. Like we like they're gonna find us out. They're gonna tell us all, like they're gonna kill our whole family.
Yeah.
Like we're just fucked. But no one else knows it was them. So only the Hind like had seen their faces before like this
Oh.
like boat rescued them. And they're like, but if she knows, like obviously they all know, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be relevant. And also, I do want to mention when she like catches up to them, just like in the beginning with Sophie, and I went back and checked this because I wasn't sure if this was real.
Hmm.
But when she catches up to them, she drops like a white stone in the
Yes.
water.
Uh huh. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
went back and saw if she did it with Sophie too, and she
Yeah. She
did do
did.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
I literally
Hmm.
went back and I was like,
Yeah. I
for
remember
this to
that.
make sense, I must know. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about that
She was
as
like, "I'll
well.
give you an option" or something like that, right?
Well, I think she like takes this, she like uses the stone to be like, I don't know how
Wait
to
a
word it.
second. No.
Yes. Well, I know why, but like when she catches them, she tells them like she'll drop it and be like, "Look how far it's going. You're gonna drown." But like that's what she like says.
Yeah, but
But we
it's
find
real.
out, yeah, we find out what it is. So we'll talk about that. Yes. But I wanted to make sure that
Yes.
obviously, of course, SJM, I'm sure like checked her notes and like made sure she wrote it. But I was like, let me just make sure she did this with Sophie too, and she did do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, interesting. So as we mentioned, this boat comes up, saves them. The Hind goes away. Again, she's the only one who saw them, but they're like, oh, we're fucked. We'll get there. And so they're saved by this giant boat. It's actually a section of the Ocean Queen's court. So it's these giant, like squid-shaped submarines that can like camouflage and they can hide from Omega boats, and it's like this whole thing. Now, mind you, because Bryce was in danger, Hunt is having like a whole fucking fit, which I was annoyed by this. He like won't calm down. He's like has a lightning in his eyeballs. I don't know. It's like a whole debacle. Um, and apparently like he's just like really like, freaking out because she was in danger. But like he still does this after they're out of danger. And I feel like we haven't seen that in other series with other like quote unquote mates. So I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that. I think he was
Mm.
just being annoying. Whatever. Yeah. And so the only way that Bryce is like, I know how to calm him down is to have sex with him. Now, the more I read about them, I like them and their passion and their banter. I
Hmm.
really don't like their sex scenes at all.
Yeah, you were telling me this.
Like the gym one or like their hookup scenes, whatever. Like they're not
Mm.
like well curated.
No, they're kind of like
They're
trashy.
sloppy. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like trashy and like whatever. So even this one, it's like they go in this like magical oasis room that's like a ecosystem and they're like having sex in the ferns. I'm not getting that vibe. First of all, they're just like they just strip naked and they're staring at each other. Like I'm getting not good.
I love how you like describe things.
I
Truly.
just I don't
They're
like
in the ferns.
but they are. There's like fucking butterflies, but like it's icky and like I don't know, he still has lightning in his eyes, whatever. So now, okay.
Oh yeah, he's like a zombie kind of thing.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
fucking
it's
weird. It's
weird.
weird. I
Yeah.
don't like this scene at all. So now here's the I'm gonna bring it up. I promised last week I would. So now they have sex. Okay. In theory, their mating bond, whatever the fact that they're mates, is confirmed here. I don't feel if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. So when they have sex, one of the key parts about this is their powers are merging because she's like, strike me with lightning, I can take it. Like, get your anger out. I'm like, girl, what? Like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so at this point, when their powers merge, they say how they feed off each other and they also teleport. Now they're naked in some other
Yeah.
area of the ship, which is, again, weird. But the point of why I want to mention that is
She like winnows them away.
yes, well, also, I'll reference it the rest of the times they have sex in this book, but pretty much every time they have sex, there's always discussion about their powers merging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I Googled and I like refreshed from Throne of Glass series what Karanim means. It literally, did I send it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please hold. I want to read it exactly because I feel like a fucking scholar. Okay, a Karanam is a rare bond between two Fae. Okay, so granted he's not a Fae, but whatever. That allows them to share magic and communicate almost telepathically. So, and it's also dangerous because an unskilled partner could take too much power. We know that Bryce takes Hunt's power into her, and that's how she fuels up, kind of situation. Again, being Karanam is like a super rare thing, and it's almost, I would argue, like a mating ish bond, right? It's like who you're compatible with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would argue that maybe they're not even mates and they're just carrying him and they're like compatible and they also like are attracted to each other. Like you could have sex with your Karen him, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe they don't have. Maybe they're not even caring him. Maybe they're just super into each other.
But I think there's a lot of talk of their powers combining, which is why I'm thinking the Karen him thing. Also,
Mm.
I think I feel like I'm claiming this idea like I had this bright idea. I think Helena texted me about this and she had read it somewhere and I was kind of like, "Ooh, I do like that." Like I'm into that theory. And I was like she had seen it, like, one of like the Instagram, whatever, people talk
Mm-hmm.
about it. But I was kind of like, I can get behind that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they're really mates?
But like, I don't know because like I feel like it would be sick if they weren't actually mates, right? Because like
I would almost rather.
I mean, like we're gung ho that like, for example, Elaine rejects the bond with Lucian, but
Yes.
who knows if that's gonna happen,
Right.
right? So I
I
feel
need
like
someone to not be mated, to be honest.
exactly. So I mean, I think it would be really sick if SJM wrote a plot line that like someone rejected the mating bond, and then another plot line where like there is a mating bond that they think is real, but it's actually not.
Right, and again, there's no talk of that, like, golden thread they always talk about,
No.
and again,
And
they
that's
declared
prevalent, yeah.
themselves yeah, they declared themselves mate, like, it wasn't like they were like, "Oh, I feel it." They were
Yeah,
like,
they
"Oh,
just said
we
it.
are mates." Okay. Like, I feel like you can't just do that, but
I am
fine.
strong.
Right, like, what the fuck? So, yeah, so that's my argument there. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. I don't want to completely be like,
Yes, right.
yeah, because like I mean, like I don't hate them as mates.
Mm, yeah.
Like they're
I
kind of
don't I
like
don't hate
whatever.
them as mates either, but again, I think I also am behind like, ooh, Elaine rejects the mating bond. Ooh, they
Yeah.
think they're mates, but they're not really mates. Like,
Like
I'm into it.
I'm kind of really hoping that like SJM just like really fucking annihilates the whole series and like breaks everybody's heart. Like I don't want a happy ending for any of them. Like I want to be
I feel like
hysterically crying.
as an author, that would be so fucking funny to do to people.
That
Like
would be
just fucking
hilarious. The
but some
fucking
people are
emotional
weird.
torment.
But some people are weird and they'll like really kill themselves, you know?
Hmm. I
Like we
guess.
like enjoy that and think it's like funny because it's like our like passion and we do it for fun. Some people like really live, breathe, and die this shit, which is fine. But like she would really hurt their feelings,
Oh, that's
you know.
so unfortunate. I Someone needs to write like a fanfic where like everything goes wrong. It's like the antithesis of that guitar.
Just write it, whatever. Fuck it.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's it. Okay. I mean, I like it. Well, anyways, so after that digression, but that's my theory. Anyways, so now when they're in the Ocean Queen's fleet, she reveals to them that they went to go save Sophie because they were also signaled. We'll get there. And she was already dead at that point. She had drowned. So they have her body. And Cormac is very upset. Obviously, that's
Hmm.
the person he loved. Now, when they find her body, she kind of morbidly had like taken a knife and scratched numbers and letters or whatever into her arm, like
Hmm.
knowing she was dying. So they were
Which
like,
is
"Well,
disgusting.
that's freaky. That's probably important. I would assume that means something." Um,
But like,
so yeah,
what?
well,
How
I mean, to be honest, smart though, you know.
smart? But like, what? Why?
Well,
Why
she
was
was
that key? Like, why was that necessary?
Well, she knew she was dying, and she was the only one who knew.
Then fucking like do it on the bottom of your shoe or something and like leave the shoe on the bottom of the ocean. Like why are you mutilating your body? Like Sarah,
Um,
why are you thinking of this? This is weird.
Honestly, I thought it was sick. To be honest with you, like I was like, Fuck yeah!" But also, like your shoe, what if it
I
falls off?
was
What if
like,
it
what?
washes out? Like, if you scratch into your body, also hear me out here. If I find a body, which I'm hoping I don't find any bodies, but that's besides the point. If I find a body and they scratch or like carve numbers into their arm, I'm like, oh, this is important. Like, like the level of importance, I'm like, this holds some weight, brother. You know? Like, if it's
Okay.
on your shoe, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, was it a leftover dry cleaning tag? I don't know, I feel like if it's carved into your arm like with a fucking knife, I'm like, okay, I probably should investigate this very important piece of information.
But where'd you get the knife from?
I'm sure she fucking had a knife on her, bro. She's a rebel.
I guess.
Well, either way,
Almost some of this stuff be like too far fetched. I'm like,
I liked this part.
but like I know it's fantasy, right? So like it's supposed to be
Yeah,
far
I feel like out of
fetched.
anything that you could argue not being realistic, the fact that you're arguing this is crazy to
It's
me.
because I go in circles. Like it's like bizarre.
No, I get what you're saying, but I personally did not mind this part. But I also like when we disagree on like the certain things that we don't like and we do like.
Yeah.
Shows
Same.
our um, happy personalities. Yay.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So, they go back to Crescent City after all this crazy shit has happened, and crazy shit is also going on in Crescent City. So, love that for them. They've only been gone 24 hours, which is insane because it felt like so much longer when you're reading it, right? Doesn't it feel like they've been down there for a while?
That was a loud car. Yeah, no, I feel like they like lived in the Ocean Queen's fucking court for like at least a week, and they're like, "Oh, we left 24 hours ago." You're like, "Okay,
Well,
that's a busy
anyways,
day."
yeah, seriously. They find out that Ethan, Deck, and Flynn smashed the rings, and now the fire sprites are free. But one of the fire sprites is actually a dragon. like a
Yes.
full-fledged like grown woman, but a dragon. Like her skin is like molten lava. Like
I'm into her.
she's sick. I like her. Um,
So
and there's
there's three fire sprites and a
and
dragon.
yeah,
So
so there's four total. So there's Reethi, Sasa, and Milana
adorable.
are the the sprites, which is so cute. And then Ariadne is the dragon, which I thought was sick. That was her name. Um,
I like that whole she's kind of a bitch. I wish she was a little bit nicer, but I'm also glad that she's not, you know.
yeah, I don't know. No, I don't want her to be nice to them. Like I kind of like her to be mean.
Yeah. I mean a dragon would be mean, you know, so I'm like, okay.
Like fire breathing dragon, like that's sick. Anyways, so basically, they go into the whole story of how they were captured and how the astronomers like held them captive in his rings for like years and years and years because he's an evil man.
He's for sure creepy.
Yeah, like he gives
Creepy.
me he reminds me of in A Nightmare Before Christmas, like the mad scientist who's in the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think that right away, but yeah, same vibe.
Like fucking ugh, like just not
Yeah,
cool.
that man, that's it. He's like a duck. Well, that particular scientist. I don't know if
Yes.
this cat's like a duck. He might.
There's also no fan art for him, so love that.
I
Anyways,
like when there's no fan art because me and you could just go
I
crazy.
know, keep it wild.
Yeah.
Also at this point, day and night, so cute, are still meeting with each other telepathically. And
Little babies.
yeah, and Rune is like saying he had like, like a hard day and whatever, and she like tells him a bedtime story. Oh, adorable. She's also really sad to hear that Sophie's dead. Um,
Yeah. Which,
it kind of
again,
surprised her.
yeah. Yeah. She was like, oh my God, really? He was like, yes. So she knew Sophie apparently. And she was like, oh, she was a great woman, super strong.
Well, Sophie was the one originally who was speaking with her.
Yes, but they didn't know who each other was,
No,
which is crazy.
but wait until we find out who Day is.
Holy shit. Okay.
Crazy. We also learn at this point that Baxine is a rebel synthesizer.
Close enough.
Sympathizer.
I was not shocked.
Um, I, I don't think I was shocked either because he was just like way too like, what's going on, guys? Like, what are you doing? Like, I want to be a part of this. You
The
know?
next layer of that shocks the shit out of me. But that part didn't shock me. The
Yeah.
fact that he was a rebel sympathizer. I was like, okay, fine. That's his thing. Like that was what he was holding his secret. Like,
Which
you
makes
know,
sense because when he first walks in and when he tells Hunt like, "Oh, I'm glad somebody fucking ripped off Micah's head,"
right, like
like,
they couldn't have guessed it then. Hello.
yeah,
Whatever. And they
um,
don't believe him, but I'm like, I would. But okay.
yeah. I
They're
just
like
think
the
they like
cool
their
kids club.
yeah,
Yeah.
they like their circle and they're like being bullies. They don't want anyone else in.
Well, that's a little rude.
Anyways, also the Hind has not told anyone apparently because they're still living, walking, and breathing.
Right.
So we're kind of like waiting for that shoe to drop as well.
Yeah, and they're also almost like it's like more scary that she hasn't said anything.
Yeah,
They're
because
like, what does she have in store?
well, yeah, because it was almost like when they were getting called into Micah's office.
Right.
It's like the same kind of like dread that they have.
Yeah.
Um. Also,
Hey.
let's travel back last episode when Bryce, Fury, and Hunt go to the meat market to try to see if
Mm-hmm.
Emil is there. And Bryce is like, yeah, no, couldn't find him. And Hunt and Fury are obviously like, yeah, he didn't find him. Well, guess what? He is at the meat market, but he's with the Viper Queen. So of course they didn't know that he was there because they're not seeing the Viper Queen.
And
And
this
Bryce
was,
knew.
yeah, like this
This
was
was all
all,
plotted.
yeah, it was like her plan. So like all the people that were like being tortured and killed, like the Viper Queen's people were doing that as per not like Bryce's direction. She didn't say to kill people, but she was like find him,
To like keep up a ruse kind of thing.
which I we last episode had mentioned like you were like, oh, Bryce is just as sneaky and like debaucherous as the rest of them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of and Hunt is really upset by this. Like he's like, I thought we were a team, but I'm also like,
Well,
All
she
right, well,
thought you
how's
guys were a team, so.
yeah, like how did it feel when you did that to her? So whatever, fuck you.
But like that's also another thing though is that maybe can help support your whole mate thing.
Hmm. I just don't like how everyone in this book is a sneaky bitch. Like I'm sick of everyone
I
having
feel like
side
they all
plots.
just be trying to one up each other.
I mean, yeah, but
Like
like
who
I
could
feel
do the
like
sneakiest thing?
yeah, I guess. And so I mean, yeah. So Bryce, like, granted, she had said that she wanted to tell Hun, and she does have a brilliant plot with the Emil storyline. And like Hun eventually forgives her for it because he's like she's the only one who saw him as like a kid who needed to be saved. Like everyone else wanted him
Like as a
for his
tool.
powers, right? Well, and fucking guess what? He has no powers.
Okay, so this is what I don't like. Okay, I don't like this whole plot line that she wrote, honestly. Um I had a feeling that Emil was a useless human from the get-go. He has no Thunderbird power. Wow. Um Also, I don't like how she wrote into the plot that Emil is now being adopted by Bryce's parents. So now that makes them half siblings. Freaks.
Um,
I don't like it.
I also feel
Like I just felt like it was unnecessary.
I think yes. My only speculation is that maybe she had to write Emil in because then like, that would then tie together Bryce and them. Like by Emil coming to Crescent City,
Mm-hmm.
they were like trying to figure out, oh, like where is the kid? And that's why they looked into his sister and how they found out Danica and her knew each other. Like if Sophie just died a
Then,
continent away, they wouldn't know about Sophie, right? I don't know. I'm just
but
trying
then
to
just,
think.
but then just kill off Emil, right?
Yeah, that's
Why
fine.
write this elaborate plot line that, oh my god, like he's being adopted and he's gonna be loved for the rest of his days with Bryce's mom and her stepdad. Like who the
I
fuck
guess
cares?
the only thing I could think is that like, again, like how Hunt was like, oh, that was great that she like, thought he was worth saving even though he was just a human. And, she was the only one who didn't want to use him for his powers, even when she thought he had powers. It just shows Bryce's humanity. I mean, but again, that
I
as you
guess.
just argued, that plot could have been achieved even if he did die. The fact that she was trying to save him.
Like imagine how much more of a fucking gut punch you would have had if you were reading the story and like turns out like the Viper Queen like double crossed them and like like Bryce is trying to go get a meal and like Viper Queen like just like fucking rips his head off or something. You know what I mean? Like
No, I don't
and then Bryce
disagree.
would be like, "Oh my god, a meal!
I
You
don't dis
promised!
I
You
don't
said you wanted to save
You're an idiot.
him!
I
He's
don't
dead."
Oh my god. What the fuck? That was terrifying actually. Wow. Fuck. I don't even know what I was gonna say. I don't disagree with that, I guess, but I'm also just like but like, do you think he'll be a player in the future books? I don't. I
I don't
don't.
think so either.
Right, so you may as well just kill him. Okay, you
Maybe she
psycho.
felt bad killing a kid. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that could be as simple as that. This kid was just in a death camp and he like has a happy life now and you're like, nope. Okay.
Psych, snatched.
Right. Oh, okie dokie. Well, things keep getting
Anyways,
crazy. Yeah, like that ends. Fury is the one who actually drives him to Bryce's parents.
so
Okay,
random.
fine.
Again,
It is a little random, but
just
so
send
that
his ass
like
on a train and bye bye.
well, they can't do
Oh
that.
yeah, because he's
Hello. Um so okay, that like plot line now for all intents and purposes again is closed up. It served the point of us figuring out like what Sophie and Danica knew. Okay, fine. So now it's the autumnal equinox, and I feel like these books, whenever there's a holiday, it's always like shit goes down. Um,
for sure.
we find out there's a Death Stalker, which is like a demon in Crescent City. That'll be relevant in 1 second, so hold on to that. So now Ethan is going to escort Hypaxia to the ball because she's having family beef. Not worth going into, to be completely honest with you. I just don't want to. Whatever. And she will in turn use her necromancing powers to talk to Connor and be like, "Are you good? You good? Okay. Okay." So that's their little agreement. Now, everyone else is going to the ball as well. Everyone's getting set up for that. But while they're walking back home after making this little arrangement with the escort and such, a demon rips out Ethan's throat. Okay, so Hallie like finished the book before I did this reread, And she was like, Ethan died. And I was like, I don't think he died. And then she's like, something rips out his throat. And I was like, well, it sounds like he died. And I was like, I don't remember him dying. Okay, agreed. I don't remember this plot point at all. Like,
Right?
not at all. Granted, I will say, just so that we all know, he is healed. He is fine. Like, literally within a day, he's good to go. So maybe that's why, because like nothing really came of it. Um,
I just remember reading my notes and it was like, Ethan's throat is ripped out. And I'm like, what?
yeah. I'm glad that she did not kill Ethan. I like Ethan.
I like Ethan too, yeah.
So that was weird. I feel like, yeah, that didn't really serve much of a point besides for knowing. So his throat was ripped out by the Death Stalker I just mentioned. So the point of that is that there's these scary demons. That's really it. Doesn't really, I feel like, serve the overall plot, but it adds drama, so I don't really hate it. Okay. So now also, Hypaxia and Tharian are like best friends, random. And like,
So random.
I feel like she just like literally wrote in and was like, "Oh, they met at the summit, and now they're besties." And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I don't. That I was. It felt like, but like reading it, guys, it feels random.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I
I don't
like the
hate it.
relation.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
hate it. But, like, it's another
like
one of those things where it's just like, okay, random. Like,
he calls her Pax, which I think is really cute.
yeah. I mean,
I
like,
really like that.
I like both of them separately, so them together is, like, fine.
It just is random. Like I would have honestly rathered her have wrote that they like knew each other for years.
Yeah.
Like I
Like, there's,
feel
like, a whole
like,
nother backstory to them.
yeah, like they're just friends. Like, but I feel like she thought about them being best friends and like liking their vibe after having to wrote the first book and stuff, and so like she didn't lay the groundwork and write that they knew each other. So she had to make up a quick bullshit to be like they met at the summit, which is like I don't like, and he never mentioned this. Like I don't know. I just think it's weird. I think that was like a
Yeah.
weird like misstep in writing. Like I said, I would have rather have just been like, yes, we met Tharian and he's friends with Hypaxia.
Yeah.
But I digress. I guess she couldn't do that because also no one knew her identity. I have no fucking idea. Whatever. So now, here's what I really care about. Day and Night decide that they are going to meet at midnight by the fountain in person in the flesh.
Cinderella, Cinderella.
Yeah. So now Rune is just a tizzy. He's so excited. So he's also at the ball with Hypaxia because that is his fiance. They both don't like each other, but they're like kind of like they're friends, so they're fine. There's no bad like blood if like, you know, he's flirting it up with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're gonna meet there. Now, Rune at midnight goes to the meeting point, and the harpy is there. And at first, he's like, "No fucking way!" And he's like, "Day," and she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "Thank
Yeah.
God." He's like, "Oh, you're nasty." Also, she just like is like a pale, dark haired. Her hair is definitely oily. Like I don't know. I get like nasty vibes from her. So he's pumped it's not her. Now also in the shadows is the Hind, and he's like, oh my god, he's like, I'm gonna get this girl fucking caught. Like there's just Triari members everywhere. Like we are so
Mm-hmm.
fucked. So he like dips out and he's like, I'm getting out of here. Now, some more drama that goes on at this autumnal equinox party is when they arrive, Bryce is with Cormac, that is also her fiance, and Hunt is behind them. Now she runs up to Celestina and Ibrahim and she's like, hey, congrats you guys, because this is like one of their celebrations for their marriage. And Celestina's like, congrats to you too. We all think she's talking about Cormac because again, that's her betrothed. And she's like, yes, me and Hunt are gonna be so happy. So the reason she did this was because if she said it and she was like, oh my god, like my dad didn't tell you, she's like, yeah, me and Hunt are a thing. Cormac just escorted me. And then Celestina's like, oh my gosh, well, great. Like, congrats to you guys. So now she's publicly declared with Hunt, and
Mm-hmm.
like her dad couldn't be like she's a liar because then he would seem stupid, so he had to go along with it. So now it's like problem solved.
And because Bryce is claimed by the Fae Court and Bryce is now claiming Hunt, that means Hunt is now a prince.
And Hunt is like, I hate my life.
Which also, okay.
I agree, but I think that's more like funny. Like that's like comedic relief to me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because it's like he hates it. You know, it's not like he's like, I think I would hate that plot point if he was like, yeah, I'm a prince, but like he acts how I would expect him to act.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, God damn it. um, so yeah, so now they're pumped because their plan works. They're like, let's go have sex in the closet.
A coat closet,
Again, the
nonetheless.
gym, Ethan hears them in their room. underwater, just lightning
In
eyes.
the
Now,
ferns.
yeah, now let's go have sex in a closet. Like, I think she tries to make them like spontaneous and sexy, and it comes off just like,
Yeah,
mm-mm.
not it.
Yeah, it's not it. And so they go to have this dirty coat closet sex, and they open the door, and they walk in on Hypaxia and Celestina having sex. What the
Yeah, so
fuck?
this was, I was like, jaw to the floor. I was like,
Yeah,
love this.
yeah. That's how I was like, fuck yeah.
This was good.
Um, so now everyone's like real tense, like everyone's ready to kill each other, and they're like, "We're good, we
Awkward.
won't say anything," like whatever. So they all just like back up, walk away. So now the party ends, but the night is not over. And so Rune mind speaks to Day, and he's like, "I went there," and she's like, "I saw you," and he's like, "Did you really?" Like, "Oh my god, I ran away because you were gonna get murdered by these two terrifying women." And she was like, "I know you're Rune," and I was like, "Oh god," which
Yeah.
also she must be thanking her fucking lucky stars. She
Who
must be
wouldn't
like,
be?
she's like, fuck yes.
Literally.
Thank God. So now he kisses her and he's like, I wanted to see you to do this. And I'm like, see, okay, just a slight digression. Their scenes, 20 out of 10.
Yeah, love them.
Love them, not dirty. And honestly, and it's like I don't think again, like the sex scenes with Hunt and Bryce, it's not I don't dislike them because SJM can't write a good sex scene. I
Hmm.
don't like their sex vibe. Like I really like Rune and Day's
Hmm.
romantic scenes
Yeah.
and like sexy vibes. It's just like a lot less like vulgar. I feel like Hunt and Bryce are
Yeah.
vulgar sometimes. And I'm like, can we fucking relax? Like, I don't need to know about his cock twitching. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, fucking, can we tone it down like 10 notches? Fuck.
Literally.
Anyways,
I
so
feel
yeah, so
like
they
maybe
kiss.
SJM just uses Bryson Hunt as like her.
Her kink fantasies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I mean, if anyone's that vibe, it is them. So fine. I'm just like not a huge fan. And so when they get home, Hunt is like, "Hey, I like being with you in public," and it's cute, which I do like that part. They have sex again. Again, their powers merge, and they end up on the roof. So again, all about their powers merging. It's like constant when they have sex. So
Yeah.
I don't know. More supporting facts to the
But do you
Karanim.
think it's because she has a magical object tattooed onto her back?
I don't know. I think it's partially because with
Like, do you
Aelin and
think?
Rowan, like their powers also merge. Again, they are also mates, but I think it's possible if you're Karanim and you have that vibe and you also have sex, like that's gonna happen.
Hmm, I
And
guess.
I feel like their powers feed off each other. It's like his power is a perfect match to power her up. Like I don't know, it just seems too. I don't
But I
know.
also don't feel like their powers are.
Completely like compatible.
They're not complementary because hers is light and his is lightning.
Well, but she needs
You
like
know,
to be
like
charged up, and like lightning is a form of pure energy.
I know, but like the whole theory about her and Az, like I think makes more sense.
Well, mate wise, right? I think mate wise, but I think I don't know. I agree because I think like her like personality is more light in Azrael's shadows. I think again like she like her the way that her power her little star works is like she needs pure energy, which obviously lightning is. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm saying like I agree with you, but just in this stance of like he's her Karanim and like Az could be her mate.
Hmm.
You know.
Interesting.
I don't know. And so, again, night's not over. After the party, Ethan and our girl Pax, because I'm now adopting that as her nickname for me, or my nickname for her. What?
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways, they go to summon Connor, and somehow they summon the Under King. And she's like, "Go back to where you belong." And he's like, "No, like I'm the ruler of this." Anyways, so they're fucked, obviously. And so he like has this whole like tricky little thing they have to escape. I don't know. He sets like all these booby traps. Basically, he says he wants Hunt, Rune, Pax, and Bryce to come to Erd's temple. He's like, meet me here this time, or I'm gonna eat Connor. And they're like, well, okay, I suppose we must go.
Yum 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 yum.
Nom, nom, nom.
Which also is just crazy.
Yeah,
So what do? They go to meet the Under King, of course. And they
you don't really
learn
have a choice.
yeah, and they learn that the Reapers that were sent after um was it Bryce
Rune
and
and
Rune?
Bryce, yeah.
Yeah. Actually didn't come from the Under King or the Bone Quarter. So they're like, well, who the fuck sent them then? Dun dun dun. So where else are Reapers located? Well, we shall find out. Anyways, also we learned that Adis, the Prince of Hell, had a thing for
Mm-hmm.
Thea, the Starborn
Yeah.
Queen, or princess, whatever she was. Um, they're star-crossed lovers. Love that for them. Like
Is there any
truly,
important quotes from that? Probably not, but I'm just checking.
eh,
I don't think
whatever.
so, right?
Nah. But
Okay.
like you were mentioning before, you know, it's mentioned in the book that Bryce needs to be like powered up, and like Hunt is the best match for this for her. Um, and I mean, mind you, they're having all this conversation with Thunder King.
Which he's revealing quite a lot. Like he's giving me Serial vibes, low key.
Yeah.
You know, because he even says
Yes.
too, like he's like, oh, Thea and like what's his face, Adis, were
Mm-hmm.
fighting against the Asteri, and Peleus killed her fighting for the Asteri. So we're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, why was she fighting the Asteri? Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
We're
Exactly.
confused.
Also, the Underking is a two-timing bitch because
Mm-hmm.
he worked with Pippa so
Yeah.
that he can eat them all once they
Yeah.
were
Like,
dead.
which that's like, I feel like if you're like an Underking or you're like, the Grim Reaper for all intents and purposes and like whatever, you should not be like picking sides. Like, I feel like you're just like like you're like an all being like,
Yeah.
okay, like you should be like not taking part in politics. And he
You
literally like,
mean
Pippa, come get him.
you
What?
mean like you mean like Hades has no morals? Like what are you talking about? You know?
I just feel like, like heaven and hell and like that whole concept, right? Like you should let the like quarrels of mortals be like the quarrels of mortals. Like you should not
Yeah.
be like he literally rang Pip up on the fucking phone and was like, I'll trap him in the temple and you can kill him and then I'll eat him. Like I was like,
Yeah.
that's really fucked. Like to like imagine getting a call from this fucking thing. I'd be like, hello?
I know. But then to like make things worse, it was like then like Pippa shows up, right? Because he tipped off the rebels
That's what
like
I'm
where
saying.
they
Like
were. So like
it was like a whole plot, but like the fact that he's plotting and like taking part in politics, like so is the Underking helping the rebels? Like I don't understand. Or like does he just want to eat them because they're all powerful?
I
But that's
well
fucked up.
he just wants what it will ever whichever way will give him more people to eat.
Yeah, so I guess he's really not like taking a political stance. He's just like, this is she hates you and she wants to kill you and I want to eat you.
Guys gotta eat, you know? But
But that's
anyways,
fucked up. So whatever, fine.
yeah. But Baxian shows up,
Yes.
the rebel sympathizer, and he saves them.
So you're
And
like, well, maybe he is a real rebel sympathizer.
yeah, and then at this point he just drops the bomb that he was Danica's mate, and you're like, what?
That shocked me.
And they only had 10 days together,
That shocked me.
and then she died.
No, they had 2 years, but like they only can only meet up every like 2 months. So like with that's like 14 days, I guess.
Okay.
But I know I was just
Sorry.
thinking. Well, I knew it was 2 years because he met her 2 years before she died. But like, yeah, when you said that, maybe they did have 10 days. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
they like didn't get to like see each other kind of thing. You know what I
But he
mean?
has like her like handwriting tattooed on his chest, and Bryce was like ready to fucking shoot him in the head because she was
I
like,
know
"Why do you
because
have that?"
yeah, because on his chest says through love all is possible.
Yeah, in her handwriting. Okay, and like now goes back to the original point from previous episodes. Like, damn, Bryce did not know this bitch at all.
No.
That's so fucked up.
And it makes sense why Baxian was so hard strong on like being around them and like wanting to be a part of the group, you
And
know.
why Sabine and him have like weird tension.
And he also tells them, you know, circling back to Sophie fucking mutilating her arm with random numbers, random quote unquote, um, is that basically when Sophie and Danica were working together and Sophie finally got into the archives in the Imperial, in the Eternal City, the code is what was etched on her arm.
But like
So they could
he was
go
crazy with
to
it
the
though, because
archives.
yeah, but he was nuts. Like, so I forget how it got brought up, but like Bryce mentioned the code and didn't even say it, and he like just said it at her, and she was like, "Why do you know that?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah.
knew the code, so like they were like, "Okay, I guess we could trust him." But like, yeah, which I don't know. To me, I feel like I mean, again, it's the drama, it's the fantasy. Fine. If I was Baxian, why did you not tell these people like fucking months ago?
Why wait? Why let it go so far?
Like, I get they don't trust you, but like maybe this would make them trust you. Hello. I mean, what? Yeah, so like he pretty much like tells them, okay, the code is to the archives, like Hallie just said, and also like Danica's big search. She was trying to see where everyone, like all the different like breeds of people, like mermaids, fae, angels, like where did we all originally come from? Where was like their home worlds? Like where did everyone, I don't know, originate from? And so he basically
Is
says
the
like,
history correct?
right, and he basically says like that code will get you into the archives, and that's where the big truth like that everyone's talking about was discovered. But now like Danica never found out what it was because she died, and Sophie found out and now she's dead, so they're like, well, now someone else needs to find this out
Mm-hmm.
because clearly it's a big fucking deal if everyone's doing this and like now everyone's dead. So
So good luck.
great. So naturally our crew is like, well, someone must find out the truth and it will be us.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so they're like, we have to go to the Eternal City where the Asteri live and break into their archives, which at this point I'm like, do you all just want to die?
Pretty much.
Like, again, you were told to like lay low, live normal lives, yada yada. I get that you're like high morals and like justice must prevail, but I'm also like, oh fucking K, like
They're
I don't
just
know.
they're just true vigilantes.
I mean, I fucking guess, but it's also a little obnoxious. I mean, again, great, like you should have heroes. I just simply would be like, I am not it.
Could you imagine if this was your life?
No, I'm tired. Like it's just constant, never ends. And so we also at this point, before we're getting ready to go to the Eternal City, we learn that the wolf mystic, who is an alpha, is not only an alpha, but she is also an heir to the Fendir line. So she is a direct challenge to Sabine's claim on the throne, or like as a prime, whatever. I don't think it's a
Mm-hmm.
throne. So that's fucking crazy. So that becomes relevant. So again, how we mentioned a few minutes ago, that plot point didn't seem like it was like super riveting. Now I'm like, okay, it got riveting.
Riveting.
It got riveting.
Yeah.
um,
But also like, okay.
I think that that'll have a bigger part to come.
No, yeah, for sure it will, but it's just like
But I'm saying like that I could see having a bigger part coming, whereas like a meal I don't think will. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like
mm-hmm.
I'd rather her write something like that and it's like intentional
Mm-hmm.
and have like more going than like okay, like you give a meal this like complicated ending, but like that's where it's gonna end. You know?
Yeah, valid.
Um and so Ethan decides not to go to the Eternal City on this crazy suicide mission because he's also gonna guard the wolf, which part of me was like, yeah, I would make any excuse I could to not go do this. Like, yep, sounds good. I'll watch this wolf.
Yeah. This
Like,
wolf who's been floating in salt water for the past like 20
ew, she's probably
years.
so fucking wrinkly and crusty.
Pruny.
Gross. When I was younger, I used to like prune really easily. Like, I would be in the water for like 5 minutes, and I would prune so much I would bleed. Don't know what that was
What?
about. My mom actually texted me like 2 days ago and was like, "Do you still wrinkle and bleed when you get in water?" I don't know why that used to happen. Was I
Mm,
dehydrated? Maybe. Okay.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Little fun fact about me.
Weirdo.
And
Okay.
so Tharian, he is going to go to the Eternal City. So pretty much everyone's going. Bryce, Rune, Hunt, Tharian, Cormac. You know, like Declan and Flynn will help from the sidelines with like the cameras and stuff. But those are our five main people going. So Tharian is going, but he decides to just spice things up before he goes, and he breaks up with the River Queen's daughter, who he's been engaged to for like a long fucking time.
Yeah. Really
And
long.
he like tells her he doesn't want her, and she freaks out. She's like, I'm telling my mom, like, you will be a slave below the water forever. And he's like, I need to not do that. And so he runs to the Viper Queen and pledges his life to her. He also drinks her blood, which she's addicted to drugs. So now is he addicted to drugs?
So it's his. It's.
They
They
allude to
say.
it.
No, so she's not addicted to drugs. It's her venom that's in her that is like
Oh.
the best high you will ever have.
Oh. So, but okay. So is he addicted to that
So
now?
they clarify that in the third book.
Mm. In the
So
first three
yes.
chapters.
So yes.
Okay, cool. So good to know. So he's addicted to venom. Okay.
Because all of the people who fight with her and
Yes.
like are under her
Spell.
Yeah, is because that she feeds them her venom.
Ew. Okay.
Juicy.
And so while Tharian is breaking things off and breaking bridges, Rune is like, I want to have sex before I go do this. And so they have like mind sex. As odd as that sounds, I like that sex scene the most out of all of them in
Yeah,
this
in this
book.
book, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I was into that. I mean, because they also describe it like not, it wasn't like icky. Like you don't, it's not like you don't know that they're having mind sex. Like they have physical bodies, so it's
Mm-hmm.
fine. He's also very like nice and gentle with her because he's like learned that whoever she's like with, like not rapes her, but he has like very violent sex with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they have like an actual bonding, like lovely moment. They seem to actually like each other. I like them. I'm like a big day and night supporter.
Me too. And that's why when we find out who she is, my whole soul was like, what?
Yeah,
Not that
I
I don't
think,
like who she is,
yeah, but I was
but like
shocked.
it was just like, yeah.
Honestly, when we find out her identity and like the whole like back scene was Danica's mate, those I was genuinely shocked about. Like I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy fuck. And then obviously how it ends, very shocked.
Yeah.
So let's get there. So we so far know that back scene is Danica's mate. We got two big new reveals coming. And so while they're having mind sex, she like tries to warn him something and she gets like pulled away. And so Rune is thinking that she's in the Eternal City and he's like, we have to go now. Like, fuck our plans. I'm in love with someone. I'm fucking her in my mind. Like, we have to go. And they're like, what? Like, Rune, first of all, I thought you were just being like a rebel fucking spy and now you're fucking rebel spy in your mind. Like, we're
Yeah.
confused.
We
But
just like jumped like 10 levels.
I would be like, hello, you didn't seem to mention that. Okay, whatever. And so they're like, we have to go now. So they create a plan where Tharian and Cormac are going to go to the labs like nearby, and the new mech suits are there. So they like got new ones after they blew all the other ones up. And so Pippa wants to go get them. And they're like, ooh, what if we act like we're going to steal them first? It'll drag Pippa out of hiding. We'll create this whole big thing. And since we're so close to the Asteri, they'll probably come see what we're up to. Distract them while you guys go into the archives. Honestly, pretty solid plan. And because, Pippa got away after that whole like Under King showdown. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So they figure this will be a perfect little ruse. All will be great. We know that never happens, but it was good in theory.
That's how it goes in theory.
Yeah, right. Always.
So Cormac and Tharian go to the labs, and Cormac is like really putting in his work winnowing
Yeah, pop
Bryce
off King.
and Hun and Rune into the archives. And he comes back to the labs and he like blows up a Jeep. And so you know like shit's about to get real, right?
Of course, it was a Jeep, too.
Okay. So Bryce gets into the door of the archives and she learns the truth, guys.
The ultimate truth. The 2-book long fucking truth.
The reveal is this, that the Asteri need first light to live.
Yep.
Wow.
So, like, they're not all powerful. They're just taking everyone else's powers.
Which, like, I guess in hindsight makes sense because when the Veneer make the drop and their first light is taken, it's sent to power the city. So, like, who's to say that, not even a part of that goes to the Asteri?
Yeah, I think it, yeah, I think
But,
it
like, I'm
does.
saying, like, as a reader, we should have, like, maybe
Right.
put that together.
I think that
Especially since the
she,
Underking eats the
right.
first light,
I think that
the
she
second
does a
light,
good
whatever.
job of like saying things nonchalantly where you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, okay, first life, like when she's building a world and she's telling you, here's what's happening, you also have a certain level of trust in an author, right? When you're reading their books, you're like, okay, you're telling me the world you're building. I don't know this fucking world. Like,
Yeah,
who am I to question you? You're telling me what's going on. You're telling
exactly.
me first light powers a city, and I'm like, okay, that's what's going on in this fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's where I think that's a beautifully written, well done plot. Is like she's like, yeah, I lied to you, and you're like, I'm betrayed.
Yeah.
Because like again, that was like a point of like this world. Like you really feel as betrayed as like Bryce and Hunt and all the people who like live in this world because you're like, oh my god, like that's not what we know to be the truth.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that actually.
Mm-hmm.
But now we know, like, if we cut off their supply to First Light, like we can fucking take, like we kick them out.
Yeah,
See
we
you later.
fucking overthrow them. So this is like, big information that they have here.
Yeah.
Um, so Rune leaves Bryce because he's like, I have to go find Day because he's still convinced that Day is in
And
the
Hunt
Eternal
is
City.
like, okay.
Yeah. So Bryce does like some extra research
Of course
in
she
this
does.
room called Dusk.
Oh my god, I
Um,
lost my shit. I'm opening the book already because I need to read things from this part.
okay, we've been talking about this theory for how friggin' long. And also,
Overjoyed.
yeah. And also Rune runs into Mordok.
Yeah. See, shouldn't have left the
Ooh.
group, buddy.
Not good, not good.
Right. And so Bryce runs into the room titled Dusk. Now, excuse me, motorcycle. Rude. Okay. While she's in this room titled Dusk, there's maps of all these worlds the Asteri have conquered and gone to, and there's like notes like their first like tasted good. Only the children tasted good. Like conquered their world, sucked it dry, blew it up. And she's like, what the fuck? So it's happened like tons of fucking places. Oh my goodness. Now, basically she learns more of the truth. Not only are the Asteri feeding off their first light and like taking all their powers, they also have lured all these species here to feed on them.
Mm-hmm.
And she also learns that Hell defeated the Asteri, and the point of Hell like opening these portals, again, Hell is another planet, another realm. Um, they tried to battle Asteri. They like were, succeeding, and so they just like closed all the doors and they were like, these demons are scary. We don't like them. They're trying to kill us. And so Hell has been trying for the past 15,000 years to like open the rifts and like tell people like, no, they're fucked up. Like help us, like help us kill them. So that's crazy. So
This is
now
all like very insane.
in fucking sane. So now Regulus catches her looking and he's like, you silly bitch. And she's like, oh no. Because as soon as they catch you and they're like calm about it, you're like, well, I'm going to die. Like,
Yeah.
they want to kill me. I'm not leaving here knowing this.
Yeah.
And so, of course, because again, I love when like the villains like tell you their whole plot and like they're like, oh, it's because I'm going to kill you, but they always escape.
Yeah, exactly.
It's whatever. And so Regulus tells her he wants her there to reopen the rifts. Now, he says that when Hell closed the doors, they closed all the doors. So now the Asteri also can't planet jump and like feed off all these planets and be conquerors. So they need Bryce to open more rifts so they can continue being just parasitic maniacs. So basically, what he tells her is that the bloodline history and all that stuff, Danica was researching that and she started learning the truth about the Asteri. Now, she eventually suspected the truth and she realized that shifters, which is what she is, are a breed of Fae. And Bryce is like, holy shit, that's crazy. So now, basically, all beings come from like different Fae, from different worlds, but they're all types of Fae. Now,
Mm-hmm.
he goes off and says to her, oh, it's not your type of Fae, and then tells Bryce, my favorite quote of the entire fucking book, is your starborn bloodline specifically hailed from a small isle a few miles off the mainland. And while the mainland had all manner of climates, right, which, hello, seasonal quartz, the isle existed in beautiful, near permanent twilight. I'm fucking sorry. The prison's dust court. Like, that was the only sentence I fucking needed. That was it. I was reading that the first time and was like, done. Like, I was like, sounds good. And she also says, an isle of near permanent twilight, the homeworld of her breed of Fae, a land of dusk. Dusk's truth. So, like, if you're really fucking not catching on here, SJM's like, here, you idiots. Like, I will tell you. So, crazy. So, we learn what Dusk's truth means. That's what it means. Now, Project Thur, he tells her that was the last time that someone got this close to finding out the truth about them. So, I don't think there's much more to that. Like, okay, people were onto them at, previous point.
What if
It was Hunt's dad? It could have been Hunt's dad. I was just thinking that as I was saying it.
Shit.
And so he also reveals that basically the Asteri also manipulated Micah, because we know that Micah, that whole big, like, oh my god, manipulation conspiracy thing, killed Danica. Well, Regulus tells her that they manipulated Micah into killing Danica, like thinking that it was like for his purposes, but they
Mm-hmm.
were like, ooh, Danica knows about us, like we gotta kill her off, or like she suspects. So
Which is
really, we're all
insane.
just like puppets, like playing into the Asteri's fucking hands. And so Bryce is like, well, I've learned quite enough because this is all like over like a loudspeaker they're talking. I don't know. And she winnows out. Oh, I'm sorry, I got like so close to the microphone. So she winnows out and she like comes head to head with Hunt shackled by the harpy. And she was like, well, okay, great.
Well, things aren't looking too up in the
No.
lab either because the Asteria are now at the lab. So basically, Cormac blows himself up, which I thought was insane, and Pippa and the entire lab building. So
I
rip.
respected it.
He
Yeah.
took the ultimate sacrifice, which was insane.
See, so I'm fine that he got shot before and he lived.
I
Now you're dead.
guess,
Great.
yeah,
This was
insane.
so much more epic.
Yeah, so like he kind of like closed like that whole plot line, I guess, because
Pippa's gone.
yeah, they're all dead.
Au revoir, Pippa.
But back in the archives, Bryce Hunt and Rune are captured and they're all shackled, right? So like Mordok tells Hunt that he smells different than the other angels. Again, who is your father? Who is the
Yeah.
father? You know, this is like an episode of Maury. Um,
It's gonna be
Intrigued.
big. Yeah, I want to know.
It's gonna be a big reveal. Well, it better be, otherwise I'll be upset.
I was gonna say, yeah, part of me was literally thinking that. I was like, well, if it's not, that's annoying.
That's really fucking stupid then.
Correct.
But they're about to be tortured by the harpy, and the hind comes in and fucking kills her. So you're like, what the fuck? Long story short, the hind is Day, and Rune is heartbroken.
He's devastated.
Because he's like, how could this person that had all these great intimate moments with be the fucking most sadistic fucking bitch
She
on the
writes
planet?
her so well.
Yes.
She writes her so well. And so at this point, we do find out about those little stones. They're actually called calling stones, and they call the River Queen's boats. And so when she was shocked, or when Day was shocked, that Sophie ended up dead, it's because she dropped a stone for the people to save Sophie. And so the
Yeah.
fact that they got there too late, she was like really upset. Like she was like, I didn't actually try to kill Sophie. And so it's like I mean, honestly, Lydia plays her part fucking perfectly, and like SJM writes it perfectly, but then she also writes just enough of like support to the fact that she is good that you're like, oh my god, like you're floored.
Yeah.
Floored. Wow.
Which is also crazy because this is Hypaxia's sister.
Yeah. Honestly, part of me is like, what if Hypaxia is evil?
Maybe, but like, okay, but can we just take a moment to digest that the fact that like Rune is betrothed to Hypaxia, but he's actually getting with her sister?
True. Okay, I wasn't connecting that to like
Like,
what
that's
the relevance
crazy.
was. Yeah.
Anyways, but so yeah, big drop right there.
Yeah,
And
that one
Pollitt's
shocked me.
yeah, no, I was like jaw to the floor because the whole book you're like, who is Day, who is Day, who is Day?
Was not thinking her.
No, not at all.
No.
And then when they go to the ball and they think, and then like the harpy's there, you're like, no, there's no way that
Definitely
he would write
happier.
somebody
It's
so
definitely happier that
evil.
it's her and not the harpy, though.
I know, but like, I guess along the premise of like someone so evil,
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
quote unquote, crazy. Anyways,
Oh man, poor Rune.
um, so yeah, so then Pollux comes
Oh man,
and they have to act like the hind was attacked because
like she's
she
very
can't.
important to the cause.
Yeah, she can't give up that she's a sympathizer and she's helping the rebels. And he's like, all right, let's go. And he brings them to the Asteri.
All right, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting to the end of the book, and it's about to get real. And so, okay, Lydia, Day, the Hind, many names at this point. She did not lock Bryce's shackles, and she also drops a little key in her pocket. Thank you, Lydia. And so now they're at the Asteri's like throne room. Baxine walks in. So now Hunt is like, I don't know what the fuck is going. Like he's like, is he here because he's undercover as a sympathizer? That whole Danica thing, was he lying? Is he still evil? Like no one knows anyone's true intention at this point. Like even Lydia, like they're like, all right, well you just saved us, but is it like also play a long game to get us killed some other way? Like everyone's major mind fucked. And so Regulus, again, loves to just reveal his whole hand. Thank you, you little blabbermouth. he says that he disguised himself as Adis and tricked them all into like taking part in rebel activities.
Mm-hmm.
And then this way he would have a reason to like bring them to the Eternal City or like, bait them there. And this way he could punish them, but really he just wanted to bring them there for Bryce to open a portal. He needs her. But he was like, if you just minded your own business and didn't do anything wrong, I literally couldn't. Like, that's really bad. Like, it would look shitty of us.
Which is
And so
insane.
he like made this whole fucking book. Like,
Yeah.
literally everyone's eating out of these is eating out of these people's hands. Like, that's so crazy.
Yes.
So then they were saying something like they made a comment about like Celestina, and he's like, "Oh, the one who sold you guys out and like reported to me as soon as like she found out that you did not go visit Bryce's parents
I
and that
was
you left
so
with all the
sad.
weapons." Yeah, I trusted her.
I was
I did trust her.
so upset.
Yeah,
Truly. Especially, and then like with the whole thing that was like, she was Shahar's best friend, and
yeah.
she also fought for the humans. I was like, are we joking?
But they made a point like they know that she's involved with Hypaxia and she loves her and will do anything. Like she's like, I will kill you all to save the one I love, and like potentially be like granted to be with her sometimes
Yeah.
because they have all power. And instead of standing up to that power, she took like the pussy way out, which I feel like is what most people do, right? Like they stand by and let them do these things that are fucked up because they're like, well, it's better than like dying. But obviously our little inner circle crew here is like, not us, again, vigilantes. So, okay. I mean, I'm not happy she did it, but I'm also like, that gives like a stark contrast of like what most people probably do when coming to, contact or with the choice of like,
Yeah.
they're gonna kill me. Yeah, so okay. So now, Regulus tells Bryce that her scar, haha, rhyming, is a beacon to their home world. So again, we know that 8-pointed star, it's on her chest, blah blah blah. Again, speculations confirmed. So, the Asteri wish to go back to this home world because this home world kicked them out. They defeated them. And they want revenge. They're like, fuck hell. We got other scores to settle, and it's where your people are from. So now Bryce tells Regulus, listen, I'll help you. I will open the portal to that world if you let Rune and Hunt go. Let them go. He's like, okay. So now she goes to say goodbye to them. She's hugging them. She's kissing them. She unlocks their chains. Duh. So now on the signal, she like is like, go! And she like grabs the Star Sword. She unlocks their chains. Now everyone's free and just shit is going down. So now is the epic ending of all endings.
God. So Hun throws his lightning into her back to charge her up.
Charge her up,
And
buddy.
and she uses the gate.
She's like running, shit's breaking. Like it was like a crazy. I
And
was
she
like,
disappears.
poof,
She's gone.
bye.
Gone through the gate. At this point, Hunt is caught. He gets the tattoo of the
Oopsies.
barbed wire along his forehead, and then also he's basically owned again by the
He is a
Asteri.
slave all over.
Yeah. And Baxian ends up exposing himself, so he and Rune are also prisoners. So everyone's fucked. And then it skips, and Bryce is
You
like,
better reveal this. Good. Build the fucking suspense, sister.
okay, so Bryce opens her eyes, and she's seeing
Perfect. Good job.
sky. She's seeing grass, and she was like, hell has grass, because she's trying to get to hell, because she needs to talk to Adis or one of the
And she's like,
seven
cool, I'm ready.
princes.
We can overthrow him.
Yeah, like she knows what she needs to do, right? There's like birds chirping, and she's like, what? This does not give me hell vibes. Like, what's going on? And she looks up, and there's a man there with giant wings
And she's like,
standing in
okay.
front of her. And she
Hell
was like,
vibes,
yeah, she
perhaps.
was like, yeah, exactly. And he's talking to her, but it's in a different language. And she's like, sorry, bro, can't understand what
She's
you're
like,
saying.
Adis. And he's like, what?
Yeah, she's like, am I in hell? And there's just like, I just imagine it like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I
she's like,
mean?
this man has demon wings. She's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden,
He like flies with her away. He makes her blindfold herself.
yeah.
And he's
So
like, come on. She's
okay,
like,
like
okay.
as a prisoner of war, that makes sense, right? Like, they don't want you to know where you're gonna be. But
So she's
anyways,
like, fine.
so she travels to this apartment,
Yeah.
And she was like, hell looks pretty nice. This is
Yeah.
strange.
Well, she even compares it. She's like, "Oh, like this like reminds me of like the Autumn King or like Jezebel's like
Yeah.
offices."
Yeah, which is insane. So,
And she's like,
anyways,
"Hello?"
yeah, so it's not just the guy with the bat wings now. Now it's like a short little woman with like a bob, and then there's like another woman with like brownish hair, and like,
More bat
oh,
wings.
more bat wing guys with bat wings. So you're like, now obviously as a reader, you're like,
Holy
hmm.
fuck. Now, here's my interesting thing, which I don't know if you agree, whatever. She makes a point and says, a petite, dark haired female with angular eyes like furies. How do you feel about that? Do we
Okay,
feel like there's any connection?
maybe. What if all this time Fury is also like,
A world jumper?
yeah, like Amarin?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I
I don't know.
wouldn't not like it.
Oh, no, I
I don't
agree.
think.
They give me similar vibes.
Imagine they're related. That would be fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Anyways.
maybe. Anyways.
But I don't think so because doesn't Amryn pick her flesh suit?
Mm, true. Okay. I wonder. I don't know.
Anyways, but so she's speaking to them and she's like Amryn, obviously we know this is Amryn. She's like, you speak the old language.
It's like no
And
one's spoken that in 15,000 years. And you're like,
yeah.
shocker.
And Azriel's sword like sings to Bryce because she has a star sword.
Yeah, and they like do
And
weird things. They're like lighting up together and they're all like, mm.
yes, so now we know that this is the twin dagger to her sword.
Well, and they even say they're like, oh, it's Gwydion. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck. Fuck.
So obviously she was talking to the inner circle here. Duh.
Yes.
And then Reese comes in and she's like, Rune? And then she's like, wait a second,
Which,
that's not Rune.
that's crazy. Like, the fact that she literally mistakes it for her brother. Like,
I just
you're
feel like
like,
there's so much that could be built off of this.
now, right. Like, is it just that they're like heirs of each other and they look similar? Perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh, he resembles Rune. Like, it's like Rune.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Question mark?
know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, and then he's like, my name is Rasand, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's in fucking
And that's how the
Prythian.
book
Like,
ends. Yeah.
yeah, like, in like complete cliffhanger, amazing, well done. But I
Yeah.
remembered like screaming the first
Oh,
time.
I screamed.
Yeah.
Well, because I'll just read the last paragraph because it's just like, gives me the chills. So Bryce glanced from the tattooed female, hello, to the beautiful male at her side. They both possessed an air of quiet, gentle authority. The others all seemed to wait for their cues, so Bryce addressed the two of them as she lifted her chin. My name is Bryce Quinlan. The male stepped forward, tucking in his wings. He smiled slightly and said in the old language, in a voice like glorious night, hello, Bryce Quinlan. My name is Rasand. And you were like,
Fuck.
okay. I did. I literally went, ah! And I like shut my book really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, right? And even like the whole chapter where she wakes up and she's clearly in Prythian. I mean, like the way she's describing the bat wings and the inner circle, like you're like, oh my god. But also, I like how she didn't state it until like the last sentence, and like you're like, oh, confirmed. Like
Mm-hmm.
you knew, like as you just said, you're like, okay, well, it's obviously Amryn. Like
Yeah.
okay, obviously like the daggers, obviously that's Azriel, like but I love how she wrote that chapter. I think it was the perfect way to do it. I think it built up suspense. I think it was awesome.
Yeah, I think it was really good.
I did panic, and then you knew that you had to wait so long for the third book.
Yeah, and then that's when like the whole multiverse thing really just blew up.
So now, okay, I guess here's a good point, right? That was our reaction to it. So as we've mentioned many times, so okay, here actually funny little caveat. When SJM released the first chapter of Crescent City 3, Hallie and I read it, obviously, and then we called each other and started freaking out because the first chapter we'll talk about next week, but it starts off really strong and there's a lot of like big reveals confirmed. And these were all things that
Yeah.
we thought would be revealed later in the book. So it was shocking to us. And we were like, wow, she's revealing major plot points in chapter 1. So what else happens? Like, this is really intimidating. And in that FaceTime, we were like, should we make a podcast? Because we just do this anyway. And then we're like, well, if we're going to talk about this, we have to do the whole series. And so we have dedicated our lives.
And hence the Literal Nonsense podcast was born.
Yes, and hence we have not yet read Crescent City 3. So I think now would be a good time to say, what are we expecting? What we this is the only episode we're going to do where we
Don't know.
don't know what's going to happen. And so what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'm really nervous because I've heard a lot of people do not like this book.
Agreed. I've also heard
Um,
this.
but my coworker was like, no, like I liked it better than the first one. It wasn't bad at all. Like I did not like it.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, like
That
that's
gives me
cool.
hope, right?
Yeah. But then it's also like I don't. I really hope that she plays on the dust court thing like heavily.
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
and I think I don't know. I kind of don't want her to go back to Crescent City, but I also I don't know. It's hard. Like I actually kind of like don't even care what happens in Crescent City now because she's in Prithia.
Yeah. No, I
You
agree with
know.
you. I care about Rune and Lydia.
I mean, yeah, but like I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be confusing if she's going back in between, like Bryce
I
and
so
then
that's what
like
I
in
also
Crescent
I want
City.
to see. Yeah, like how where do we go from after this book, right? So obviously this is the
Yeah,
mashup. That's fine. I would speculate that the inner circle will help her in their battle against the Asteri, but then like where do we go? Because Akatar is still not done. So like, how does that work
exactly.
in that timeline? I'm like curious to see like where this book goes and how it ends. Now,
Yeah,
my
because
fears,
Elaine's book,
right?
when is that going to take place?
Correct. Now, I will say my fear and my honest thoughts of this. I think, as we've mentioned, SJM built a great build up. And, like, I even argue that this book, even though big things and truths were revealed, I still think it serves as, like, the middle build up of her overall story, right? My
Mm-hmm.
concern is I don't think SJM finishes plot points well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, cool. She was like, oh my God, these exterior world eaters, this, and this. Okay, that's still build up. Now it's going to be a battle against them and how she's now in Prithian. I get nervous for how she's going to close that all up. I think this was amazing. Like, oh my God, here's the scandal. They're eating worlds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we do connect to Prithian. That's where we came from. But okay, like, you closing this up, I'm nervous for, honestly.
Yeah.
Because even like Throne of Glass, I liked how Kingdom of Ash ended, but parts of it when she was like world jumping and this and that,
Yeah, you did
I
not like
didn't
that.
like it. I
I
mean,
know.
and fine, but it wasn't great. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I expected so much more from that whole series for it to end like that. It was also kind of quick and rushed as well. Like,
Yeah.
so
She be doing this.
I am nervous. Like I said, also the fact that she reveals a lot of big truths in chapter one, which I'm sure, we're going to deep dive into it, guys, obviously, because
It's
that'll be like a
like
huge talking point. It's
I
pretty
feel
much
like
everything we've said where like, it's like, yep, you're right. And you're like, oh, thank you.
I feel like with SJM, it's like the longest fucking build up ever to like not have a climax.
Yeah, like, or they're quick climaxes.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
But the foreplay was so long, you know what I mean?
right. Which, I mean, I'm a girl, love some long foreplay, but like, please finish it well. Like,
It's I what's the saying? It's like
the buildup is
the
better than the fucking whatever. I don't know what the saying.
the ends don't justify the means.
Yeah, right. Like, it's not even worth it.
Like yeah, the means is good, but the end's just not what you wanted, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping we see a lot and like I want them to intertwine a lot. Like this is fun. Like I feel like again, you open up this like crazy fucking world and like they're talking, have fun with it. Like I would totally like have people like enter series, start dating. Like why not? Like make it fun. I don't know.
Make it fun.
Yeah. So I don't know. So guys, so yeah, next week, I know we've mentioned it like a million times. We're gonna read part one. Like so the next book is into three parts.
Mhm.
We'll read part one, we'll do our episode. We'll make sure we record before we read the next part. So we'll kind of just like live react, similar to how we're doing like right now, and like speculations and what we think. Um
Yeah.
yeah, so we are excited, a little nervous.
Yeah.
I'm also hoping that if we like have the bar like low and are skeptical, I'll be like shocked. I'll
We'll
be like
like it
pleasantly
more.
surprised. Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't expect too much going in, we'll be happier at the end.
Yeah. But I'm really happy to finally read this book. I feel like this has been like our like love child passion project, and like it was
Mm-hmm.
to get to this point. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna obviously continue the podcast after we do Crescent City 3, but like we literally chose to do Akatar and all these parts just to read this book. So fuck, here we are.
Yes.
So I'm excited. Yeah, guys, this shit is crazy. So let's see if it's worth the hype.
Stay tuned because we'll let you know.
All right. Well, we love you. I don't even know what to tell you to expect. If it's gonna be chunky next week, if it's not, don't
Yeah.
have no idea.
Godspeed.
The lack of planning is killing my anxiety.
Oh, I love it.
Yay. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week for part 1 of 3 of Crescent City, a house
3.
of flame and shadow. Yeah.
Shadow. Yeah.
Many numbers, many titles. Okay.
Sick.
We love you
Well,
guys, and
thank
we'll see
you for
you.
listening.
Always thank you. And we love you, and we will see you next week for this shit.
Yeah, buddy.
Woo! Bye.
Bye.